No problem.
So how you doing, Sean?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Are you sure you're doing good?
Listen, I'm exhausted, right?
I know you're exhausted. You look completely stressed out.
I am completely stressed out right now.
Was it, those after parties?
I wish it was because of an after party. I'd be a lot more relaxed right now.
Oh, well, that's what happens when you're working 13 hours as a stripper.
Well, sometimes you got to make that money. You understand? Especially if you want to plan trips to Vegas, apparently.
You're going to Vegas?
I want to.
Yeah, he's a professional stripper.
I am definitely not a professional stripper.
He's a professional stripper.
Nice, man. You know what? Male strippers make money.
I know they do, but I am not a professional stripper, which is why I'm always broke.
I always said if I was going to be a stripper, I'm never shaving my hair. I want that to be my sex appeal. Like the whole thing on my chest and my belly. Like, my fiance hates it, but you know what? just all gorilla hair for her. She loves it.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that said, welcome back to another episode of the Geeks for Geek podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Radio Williams.
And this is Sean-Luc.
And on this episode, we are joined by an awesome YouTube creator, the host of The Hidden Nerd, a YouTube show, Brandon Senpai, also a.k.a. The Hidden Nerd Hokage.
Wow.
The Hidden Nerd Hokage.
I felt like that introduction was just, better than mine's. And on,
Are you serious?
I swear. I could never say it that clear. You should all the takes that I do, it's 20.
So how many takes do you do?
Like in the beginning, first of all, the first 10, I'm cracking up at myself. The first 10, all the time, I'm dying. I'm like, all right, okay, don't be serious now, be serious. And then when I get serious, I'm like, damn it, I messed up again. But then it's
don't worry.
10 to 20 takes?
Working with this guy over here trying to film him is like trying to get a child to smile you're trying to get a baby to smile at a camera.
It's just you're seeing yourself and you're watching yourself perform. You're like, wait, that doesn't look good, and you just continue to critique yourself until you finally get that one line.
It's always you're critiquing yourself or you're just having way too much fun because you know that sometimes the audience likes that fun factor.
Yeah, like the nonsense that comes out of my mouth sometimes. I just why did I say that? Oh, well, I like it for the video.
Exactly. Just keep it in there,
And that's why for us, this is a totally shoot the shit show. We don't do anything scripted here.
I love that.
Completely.
That's a script? What's that?
Listen, my best friend, right? He's the most random person in the world. Okay, he will talk about the most random thing and tell me it 20 times in that same day. And it's like, okay. Yeah,
which one is the random? I think I'm the random one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you are the random one.
The spontaneous random one here.
And then you always have that one friend, which I have, that knows that random useless knowledge.
Oh my god!
And then exploits it.
That's me too.
I have one friend that consistently speaks in polysyllabic language.
Oh god!
Because he feels that as a linguist you must learn to speak eloquently, and I'm just like, shut the hell up.
Do I know this person?
You do.
Oh god. Yeah. So Brandon, your YouTube show, The Hidden Nerd. Two things I want to talk to you about before we even dive deeper in. One, tell us about your show.
Originally, when I first started the channel, it was just I went through 2 names, I think, and I can't remember the first one, but I went through 2 names, and I'm still I was trying to find my identity. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my channel. I knew I wanted to talk about anime and manga stuff, but I didn't know what I wanted to specifically do. I was following a lot of big YouTubers, so I was trying to figure out a great name until I took a few months off, and I was just like, you know what? I'm a nerd. Just think of something, And then it just came, and I created my name. I remade my name, and then started making videos under that name, And I'm just now rebuilding.
How long have you been doing it?
I'm gonna say a year and some change.
Oh, nice.
About a year, and that's on and off because within that same year I had a baby and all that. But we'll get deeper into
congratulations.
Thank you. So it's been a fun experience. It's been fun, just I don't know how to say. It's been alleviating a lot of stress.
Okay.
Because when I watch anime, I can sit there and all day and just wow, that was one hell of a clip. Or I'll sit there and I'm just like, wow, that was so epic, and just rewind it, and I just hear my fiance how many times are you gonna play? And I'm like, shut up, it's mine. And I'll just keep playing it back and forth because it's just
yeah, I feel bad because my otaku card got taken away because I just stopped watching anime because I've been so busy working, right? And the only thing I've actually ever kept up with recently is Dragon Ball Super. So that's the only thing.
It matters. Why? Because that was the core for a lot of us growing up. So long as you're in touch with that, it doesn't matter. All the other new animes, I go through droughts sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I get so busy with my own personal life that I haven't caught up on episodes, but I'm still reading mangas. But it's just like the actual anime, I'm just not there. And people are, hey, did you see the episode?
It's tough because sometimes you can't see the anime on TV or whatever the case. When you have to go online, you have to look either for a torrent or a YouTube video or whatever, just to catch up with those videos. It's a pain, I know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely know what that feels like. I think the biggest thing that bothers me is like when I finally do settle down and I start to catch up on an anime. I always end up finding those animes that are like maybe, let's say, 24 episodes. Or it's at least maybe 44 episodes, 2 seasons.
Yeah, give or take.
And then I'll binge watch instead of like taking my time. And then once it's over, I'm like...
You're sitting there with the, like why did I do this?
Yeah, like what's next? Like, I can't, like, I need more. Like, is there a continuation? And I start doing research and I'm just sad because it's over. It's like, it's just over. That
happened to me recently. So I watched the most perverted anime. I swore it should have been hentai.
Oh.
It's called Prison School. It was...
That's
the most perverted animes I've ever watched, but it was hilarious. And I watched all the episodes, and I stood there like, are you serious? I need more of this. This is hilarious.
You think that's the most perverted, which is not meant to be perverted to me, is High School of the Dead.
Okay, High School of the Dead is such a satire in and of itself.
I get that it's a satire, but there's just so many shots of bras, panties for no...
I've never even seen that one, and I'm thinking that Prison School is like the most perverted because I'm like, why are they showing these things? First of all, in one of the episodes, I think the vice principal was humping a horse.
Well, but see, that's more of a comedy. High School of the Dead is like saying like here's an action film with zombies.
Oh no.
But as they're killing zombies, we're just gonna give you these weird camera angles.
My personal favorite is the dude shooting the gun through the girl's tits.
What?
Yeah.
Purposely through her?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is one of those, if you have Crunchyroll, whatever you have, if you watch it, and
it's not meant to be something like as explosive or beautiful. It's literally for what it is.
Yeah. But it's just, I always thought that was like I saw that after, I grew up watching Ninja Scroll. Now Ninja Scroll is like, but Ninja Scroll was more like, there were those, you had barbaric rapes in it. You had like just things that were grotesque. Where High School of the Dead is just like end of the world. We need to show you how things are happening, but from these angles. Let's get these specific camera angles.
Like all of this stuff is happening. But look, did you ever notice how her tits was right here?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Ninja Scroll was more like, we're going to tell you a story. These things happen because this is a story. High School of the Dead is like, we're going to tell you a story from angles, just different angles.
That OVA was stupid.
Oh my god, I can't imagine. It's that's what I'm saying. Like it's just like it. That's what I'm saying. Like you guys are telling me about stuff that I'm thinking that Prison School is the most perverted thing I've ever seen. Now I'm gonna go home and watch that.
I mean, there's a lot of perverted shows out there.
But I'm like, why isn't this not hentai? And then mind you, Hulu has it, right? But they just blur it. And I'm like, yeah, that does something. Well, there's a difference. It's like it's there. You can tell.
I mean, there's a wide genre of stuff that kind of borderlines.
We don't have to talk about those genres. I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're all borderline.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a difference between using nudity as an art and using it just for grotesque.
You're just saying that because you're a freak.
No, I'm saying that because every time I think of nudity and stuff like that, and I think of something in an artistic way, I think of Elfin Lied, no matter what.
I don't like talking about that one. Elfin Lied.
You don't like talking about Elfin Lied?
Elfin Lied it's a good story. It's just gore. To me, it's gore for no reason. For no reason.
If you really think about it, the main gore was in the opening act, and then after that, it was kind of subdued.
No, it's all
okay. Except when she kills the kids, but that's besides the point.
Except when she kills the kids.
The kids deserved it. The kids deserved it. They kind of killed the dog. I mean.
Oh well, see, I'm on your side with that one. If you're killing animals, especially a dog.
So it's okay for little cartoon kids to kill kids. That's what we're saying. Ladies and gentlemen, on the G's for Geek, I just want to say the views and opinions expressed here are not are not.
We gotta put disclaimers.
That of the G's for Geek podcast.
And with that being said, screw anybody that kills a dog or a cat or any other animal.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We're not acting like we're some animal activists. We're just saying it doesn't make sense to do.
First of all, I don't think we can be animal activists if we're Pokemon fans.
Is it really abuse?
It's considered animal abuse because you're literally beating an animal half to death just to capture it, and then you're literally using it as your enslaved partner.
Okay, look. What if there's a dark side to the whole Pokemon?
But there is a dark side. It's called Red and Blue. Red and Blue is the dark side.
It's about to be Detective Pikachu. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right. Okay. But look, imagine in a while, Pikachu is a mouse Pokemon, right? Mm-hmm. You just get a Pidgeotto fly in and just eats it, right? Because it's a rodent. It's a bird.
All right, but it's an oversized rodent, though.
But there's a difference.
So it'd be a Pidgeot that gets it.
Pidgeot, you're right.
There's a difference between nature versus nurture, and everybody being Michael Vick. Ooh, I didn't.
Why are we just getting all controversial today?
That's what I'm saying. Pokemon, look, it's not animal abuse, okay? You know what it is? It's all about the hunt, all right? We use it in the real world. It's all about the hunt. You know what the hunt is? Hunting Pokemon, catching them, and putting them in balls and trapping them. Mind you, that ball gets small, too. That's what
I don't know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but in my view, it still looks like kind of like abuse. Yeah. Right? Like you're literally you're using your animal to beat other animals, and mind you, these animals have powers. Yeah. And you're exploiting powers for vicious and malicious intent. You're using them to get little glass badges.
Oh, yeah.
So you can enter a league after you go. Now, mind you, you're a 10-year-old kid, and you're literally going around an entire country.
How to do it? Yeah.
When you put it like that, I don't even know what this is.
I just thought about Pokemon, the first movie. There was a lot of animal abuse. I mean, and then you realize at the end, they realize why are we doing this? We don't.
Even Mewtwo and Mew were like,
oh, wait a minute. We just wanted to fight a little bit. We didn't want to.
First of all,
we didn't want to kill a kid.
Season. The first season.
Listen, there was an episode that caused seizures that was no longer aired.
What episode was that?
That was the one with Porygon.
Because the shapes and
the whole flashing lights caused a lot of seizures.
I never make fun of anime and seizures because as much as people are always anime may cause seizures, I refuse to make fun of that because I can feel like the day I make fun of it, I'm gonna be home watching an awesome anime. There's gonna be a sequence that happens, and right then and there, bam, seizure.
I'm afraid of that. You want to know something? I never knew that.
Really?
Anime causes seizures because I just always watched it my whole life.
It was always a joke. I feel like it was a joke with fighting animes. Yeah. Because of the high speed sequences and stuff like that, the flashing lights.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just come on.
Power Rangers was like that too in the beginning too.
In the beginning,
They said Power Rangers.
But it's just because of a lot of explosions, everything that so enabers into your cortex so fast that your brain just shuts down while processing it. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
But now we're kicking out babies that automatically know how to use iPhone 10s and
Dang right.
iPads.
Yeah.
So.
Dang right.
So I
my
guess
daughter, she looks at my phone all the time, and she follows. I was playing with her yesterday. It was moving left and right, and her eyes are just. I'm like, no, I'm gonna deal with a book. All right.
Books? What are those?
Yeah. You're an ebook. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah.
On your phone, Daddy. Now give it to me.
I want the one with the pictures, Daddy. That's what I want.
All right. So now my next question for you, and it's just gonna kind of wrangle it back in a little bit here. So recently you did a video where you were talking about you were changing your channel, and some of the things you were speaking about was you kind of were comparing yourself. You felt like you were comparing yourself to other YouTubers. You felt like you were trying to be original, but maybe you weren't being original. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and more about the change that you're trying to go into with the Hidden Nerd?
All right. Yeah. So when I first created my channel, I just was like, okay, well, that's how the big YouTubers do it. I'm going to be that same way. I'm going to try to make my channel that same way. But in reality is that when you watch a lot of their videos, they're being animated, they're doing all of that stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm not an animated person. What I'm saying is that that's not me. When I watch anime sometimes and I don't like something, I'm like, wow, that was shitty. That was bad. In a lot of my videos, I'll probably give something a compliment when I really don't agree with it. you know. And the reality is that's not being true to yourself and true to whoever's viewing it, because they're coming to you to get the truth. You know, whether you believe that you're telling the truth or not. So if my information, they can believe that, hey, his information is truthful. It could be truthful, or it could be an opinion.
Okay.
Nobody knows for sure. But if I'm over here saying, hey, the Tournament of Power for Dragon Ball Super, let's take that for instance. I thought it was okay. I'm not going to sit here and say that I thought it was, wow, it was awesome. You know, Ultra Instinct was awesome. You know, seeing Kale, and, you know, and all of that stuff. That was cool. But it didn't strike me because, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up with the Dragon Ball Z era. When I first saw Super Saiyan, I was like, wow, I didn't saw God.
Oh, you mean the same powers that took like 2 episodes? Was it like 2.5 episodes?
Are you really?
It did.
It took about 2.
I will say I agree, but I do believe that the Tournament of Power wasn't meant to be an overall like spectacle. I think it was just meant to highlight characters towards the end of their run. Like, I was very disappointed at what they had with Gohan. They made Gohan the leader of the team, and he did absolutely shit.
You know, that was a bit of a problem. You know, because it's just like they try to revitalize him.
They've tried to revitalize a lot of these characters, including Krillin. And I'm like, why? Don't get me wrong, Krillin is the strongest human being in the Dragon Ball Z universe.
Agreed.
You already could tell where I'm going with this. So, being a person that watches, I'm very upset with Dragon Ball Super. I think that it is amazing in the sense that compared to GT, which we shall not speak about, and the regular Dragon Ball Z, that at least the tournament series is a lot quicker. The fights happen a lot faster. There's no prolong. But the one thing that bothers me about Dragon Ball Super is that the underdog of the Dragon Ball series has been left out, not revamped, and I'm tired of people overlooking this person. I'm starting a campaign, and this is the Let's Make Yamcha Great Again campaign.
Oh my God! He had one episode. He lost one episode where he shined, and all of a sudden he's like the guy.
He lost his woman to the crown prince of all jerks, who's awesome, but he's a jerk. He gets left out.
I think had the biggest character arc out of everybody in that scene.
Great.
Can we not overshadow Yamcha? I see what you guys are doing.
We can overshadow Yamcha, and I'm going to say this why. Because we can go back to Dragon Ball, and Yamcha's been a loser since Dragon Ball. When he ran into Kid Goku, he got his behind kicked.
Okay, so once again, I feel like you're on the opposite side of my campaign.
But look, I love Yamcha as a character. I love him. But he's been taking L's longer than Vegeta's been taking L's.
Geektopians, don't ignore these guys.
Useless. He's just good as a baseball player.
I remember as a little kid. You want to know what's so funny as a little kid? When I first saw that when Nappa came, right? I didn't see Raditz first. I had to go.
Oh, okay.
I actually saw the
Nappa.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I saw Yamcha. I was like, wow, this guy looks like he's like the best character, right? Fights the Cybermen.
Gets killed on the spot.
And I'm like, yo, this guy sucks.
Because you know what made him awesome? The scar on his face and the mullet.
The hair, everything. I'm like,
the fact that he had a really cool move.
And I think Yamcha was kind of more tan back then too, so he kind of had that look. So I'm like, oh, this guy's the best one. Nope.
But see, that's because I blame that on the creator. I blame that on the writers. I think they could have went a different route this time with Dragon Ball Super.
Let's face it. Let's take a look at Yamcha versus the rest of the kids.
No, we can't compare them because no matter how many times you want to compare him, he is the underdog. He's not getting a break. They even gave Krillin a second chance to come back and be a fighter.
See, but he also trained.
Krillin is an original. I mean, not saying Yamcha isn't, but Krillin was just. He was always that guy. He was there. He trained with Goku and Master Roshi. He was that guy. So it made sense to include him. Yamcha came in afterwards, so like it made sense.
Dude,
when you go,
he got a chance to bang out an android and have a kid.
Hold up. Yamcha was there. Yamcha was there during Buu. He was there during Cell. All right, let's not act like he wasn't.
Let's take a look at the Dragon Ball Z abridged where they shitted on Yamcha there too.
But once again, and that's my problem here. That there's too much toxicity in the Dragon Ball series.
Let's remember what they said. Cell said Yamcha was on the list.
Listen, the fact
he said for what? halftime entertainment.
The fact that they're constantly shitting on him is a problem. It's just a pure problem. That's all I'm saying. I feel like Yamcha has so much potential.
All right, look,
but
I'll give
that's
Yamcha some credit somewhere. Dragon Ball Z fighters, Yamcha combos, fighting. He's that dude.
Oh yeah, he's good. Except for now that they're bringing in Jiren.
Yeah, now he's really going down more. He's been going down.
Dude, they're bringing in Videl and Jiren. Like,
see, I'm happy you guys are speaking. You're only justifying my case why we need to make Yamcha great.
No, there's no. Yamcha. Listen, if he could not even survive the trainings of Mr. Popo, okay, he will not survive anything else.
He quit in the Android saga.
All right.
He really did.
He quit after that.
Although I give him credit, he got a hole punched in through him, and he still lived.
That's what I'm saying. But he quit after that because he was like, "Look, I don't want no parts of this no more. I can't even keep up with you guys."
Geektopians, I know you hear me out there. I know that what these guys are saying here, you guys completely disagree.
Team Vegeta.
Hit me up in the comments.
Oh, listen, I go for the black people. Team Piccolo.
We'll wear our team Yamcha shirts. We'll make Yamcha great again.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Making
Yamcha great again.
What else is on the docket, good sir?
Well, just going back to the channel change. So it's interesting that you're talking about a lot of things you're talking about, and ladies and gentlemen, definitely check out his video on this because I think he hits on a topic that a lot of creators go through, whether if you're starting a new channel or if you're just reflecting on like where you are and where you want to be. I think with us and G's for Geek, we kind of went through something similar where as we were trying to create G's for Geek, we kept like going based off of a script, and then we realized like more and more we're just a shoot the shit show. We're like, we tell people up front, like, we're just two geeks that like to talk about being geeks.
Yeah.
So the show doesn't have to be like a show that's like, oh, let's talk about anime or let's talk about comics. I think
it'll all come out eventually.
It'll come out eventually.
And not discouraging anybody who has a channel or talking bad about anybody's channel.
No, because everybody tends to have a niche. You know, they have their niche. You know, they have their certain quality that they bring to the table, which is fine. That's great.
Yeah, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I mean, how many times can you listen to like some of the shows that are always talking about Marvel, DC? And when they talk about Marvel, DC, I feel like they don't go into the comic book universe.
Certain podcasts do. Certain podcasts do.
So, but even with anime, sometimes you have that like it's good when you find a channel that is specific to that. Like you're going to that channel, you're going to that podcast because that is the specific topic. You know, like every time you tune in, they're always going to talk. Like I watch a lot of YouTube shows that are on WoW, but that's because because they're talking about WoW.
No, I get it. I mean, sometimes I watch a lot of comic related stuff too. Like shout outs to Comic Storian, shout out to Variant. Variant Comics, hashtag to Rob from Comics Explained, like those have a certain core to it where they follow a certain demographic. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. That's great. However, you understand, everybody's going to eventually want something different. Everybody's going to want something fresh, something that they can, say, oh, this is cool, this is different, this is nice.
And you know what? I'm glad you touched upon that because that's what I had to realize that. I had to realize that, look, if you follow in that market, look, that's already their niche. Like you said, that's already, they have that demographic already. You have to bring something different, something that, others can relate to, which hence I created the Hidden Nerd. And why? Because growing up, I was a hidden nerd, and if you guys want to talk about that, we could. We
were all hidden nerds.
We were all like I wasn't hidden.
Sean was in the lockers.
I was definitely not in the lockers. Lockers were not that big. Plus, I went to a really nice but ghetto high school. Wow. So,
like growing up for me, I was a really hidden nerd. It was because I partaked in a lot of stupid stuff that I should have never had did, and then when I go home, I'm sitting there watching anime.
I mean, that's okay. I guess for us, that's normal, right?
It's like a normal thing. And what I realized was that, shout out to Dacon Wilshire. You see him on his videos. You see the way that he talks. A lot of us, where we grew up at, we all talk like that. But you don't hear people say, man, I love Vegeta. I love Vegeta. I love this person. You don't hear nobody say stuff like that.
You hear it now, and that's something that I definitely.
Yeah, but you hear it now because, and I know we're going to be talking about this on future episodes of the G's for Geek, but it's more about the popularity. Like I don't know about you guys, but when I grew up, I listened to like a lot of rock music growing up and this is speaking as an African American and coming from the hood. That was not acceptable, and then I started seeing in like sports games and in Tony Hawk Pro Skaters. So people who made fun of me for listening to that music and associated me in this lifestyle of being a geek or a dork or a nerd, they're now like praising this stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, how is this okay now? And I feel like that with anime and with comic books.
Yeah, that's something that I was going to touch upon in later on. With my show as well. It's just a simple fact that geek now has become mainstream.
Yeah.
Right. It's become popular. It's the new in. Right. That's why San Diego Comic-Con gets sold out within hours.
But I think even with San Diego Comic-Con, like that was something that on its own was still on a level that it wasn't as commercial yet.
No, it wasn't. But this is what I always say, and I say this every single time, no matter where I go, when we talk about the boom of geek media, if you will, I always blame the Avengers. I always blame the Avengers, the movie. Right? Because, yes, the MCU started with Iron Man, then it faltered with the Incredible Hulk, so we didn't know what was exactly happening. Then Thor came, blew expectations. I
disagree, because I think you're overlooking Fox and the X-Men franchise first.
Allow me to retort, though. Wait. No, the reason why I'm not talking about that is because if you really look at it, though, Fox's X-Men was great for us. Yeah, but it never made a mainstream type platform. Now, you're talking about somebody like Chris Evans, who you see in different roles here and there, as well as different superhero roles, becoming one of the most iconic characters in the Marvel Universe, Captain America. Yes, it's my opinion. I believe he's iconic. Okay?
I hate Captain America, but go ahead.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree on that one. Okay? Then we have, like you're saying, we have Thor, then you have the Captain America movie, you have Thor movie, then all of a sudden, there's Iron Man 2 with the introduction of Black Widow, and then all of it culminates into a once-in-a-lifetime movie where they say, well, guess what? If you've been paying attention, this is what we've been working on. And that is your arm. That to me is what led to the whole boom because shiz balls.
Well, you putting into that perspective with X-Men, I can see that where X-Men was more for the childhood adult, where the Marvel Cinematic was for, especially with it coming out of Disney, it's more for the kid. It's more to get that younger generation into the comic book industry or into comic books in general. But then you have other franchises that also came into the boom. You had Paramount revamping the Star Trek series. You had Disney revamping Star Wars.
Yeah.
You had Michael Bay and Teenage Mutant Ninja, another abomination. Transformers. So
yes, I agree. I get the fact that Skybeam has become the new MacGuffin.
I think all of those were a part of it, but I think you're right where the Avengers kind of gave it the boom that made it cool. Because now everybody's like, wow, I want to go see Avengers. It just looks good, right? You have people there who've never read a comic, who's never watched a cartoon, has never paid not 1 minute of attention to it. And they're just like, wow, it looks good.
Right, because you see this star-studded cast in this really over-the-top movie.
Well, I'll also agree with you for the simple fact of if you take any of the Marvel franchises and look at the popularity and success of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is like a C class group. Like
that was literally the obscurity of the Marvel universe. Barely anybody who knew except hardcore Marvel fans.
Exactly.
Like even those they argue like the team that was on in the movie was not the original team. Right? And people don't know that and people don't care. Because it's the popularity now.
But it's interesting that it's like, okay, now everybody's a geek now. In which I have a problem with that saying too, like everybody's a geek. I feel like there are geeks and there are people who have geek interest.
I don't think that I don't think that everybody's a geek. I think that people have their interest. I see that now it's booming that people now they're just like, hey, what anime are you watching, or what comic book are you reading now, right? And then now you're just like, well, I'm reading XYZ, right? And they're like, oh, like, what's it about? So they're not really like geeks. They're just trying to figure out.
And I don't mind that, actually, because I'm one of those people that's like, oh, you want to learn more? I'll be more than happy to tell you. You understand? But if you really want to learn and not coming to the point where you want to bash me for something that you don't know.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is the other thing where, like, geeks being bullies to those that are coming in.
No, me and Brandon was talking about this before we even got on air about the toxicity within our own community.
Yeah.
And first of all, I have to note, like, I do like the fact that I can honestly say a community because there is a huge geek community.
Oh, yeah, there's a geek community, but it's also fractured into different genres. You have the comic book community, you have the anime community, manga community, you have the video game community, to which my opinion is probably one of the most toxic out of all of them.
They're bad.
I don't know about that because all right, I'm going to say yes, but I think overall, sometimes the reason it's hard to look at the video game community separately is because when you look at when it comes to geeks, you can't really separate us. Because it's like saying, like, even though, like, we have nerds and dorks and...
Gamers has never been looked at as geeks because everybody was gaming at some point, you know?
Right,
well,
and then the fact... well, you have to understand.
Because you have arcade... The original geek gamers were arcade gamers.
But
they also turned this into a professional sport.
Yeah. So now they're being grouped into, like, just being gamers. It doesn't even matter if you were arcade gamers. Because you still have people who could bring out their sticks to gaming events. You know what I mean? And
I love watching people bring their sticks to Evo, especially because you know they're going to be serious.
So, all right. So before we talk about toxicity, and this is, and I just want your opinion on this. I think what it is that, in a sense, with gamers, there was 3 category of gamers that kind of merged into what everybody else was. Because you have your tabletop gamers,
yes,
which are one of your original gamers. Yep. You had your arcade gamers, which is one of your original gamers. And then you had, like, your basic gamers who they just played, NES games, Sega games, whatever
the casual games.
Yeah.
But then the aggressive gamers that came in were your first-person shooter gamers.
True.
Your sports gamers, and then
your fighting gamers.
Your fighter gamers.
I hate to say it like that, but fighting, such as Street Fighter, Virtua Fighter, that has become such an aggressive form of basically esports that leads to a lot of the toxicity that comes into this.
I mean,
it's because
you can't forget RTSs. RTSs is one of the original esports.
True.
And it's still, whether if you're talking about Dota, whether if you're talking about League of Legends, whether if you're talking about...
Well, yeah, because that you still see in team sports and everything like that. But if you really look at, to me, okay, and I know I'm basically diversifying myself with this, and I'm putting myself on the lone island, right? To me, fighting, and people who do fighting games and literally stick to it to the point where they know where the hitboxes are, they know where each damage point comes from, everything like that. I'm not taking away from their talent, but I am going to take away from the fact that they look down upon those that do not know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get that in any genre because you get that in WoW,
and
where
they take advantage of that.
A person is
you
get that in WoW, you get that in League of Legends. A person is quick to call you a noob, especially if you're learning how to do things.
Right.
I mean, overall, the picture here is that all these areas are toxic. I think when it comes to those 3 categories as sports gamers, fighting gamers, and first-person shooter was the gamers who were playing that weren't necessarily the geeks and the nerds.
No.
It was more of I think those were the games those that we considered the cool kids or jocks. And this isn't to create another form of stereotype, but this is just from my perspective.
That's the reality.
No, I can agree with you on that.
My older brother, he played video games. He was all about that, but he is not a geek.
No,
right now, not a geek.
There's people that I know that play strictly Fortnite and nothing else.
Yeah, and they're gamers and they have the right to call themselves a gamer. But I think when it came to, like, those who were nerds and geeks and dorks or whatever, like fighting games, sports games, like Madden and stuff like that, first-person shooters, those weren't the go-to games. Just StarCraft, D&D, like those were the games that we kind of gravitated to. where now I think I was telling you like how my first con that I ever went to in NYCC, I think it was 2014. It was interesting because I felt like what I had learned about cons is where both geeks and bullies get to throw up the white flag, and it's a peaceful setting where you can be in the same place and enjoy the same things with people who would bully you, talk down to you, and they get to let their inner geek out or their inner whatever. And then the very next day after the con's over, those same people were the people out there who were making fun of you, bullying you. True. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, I don't get that. And that's what led me to start to wonder, like, where did they, in this generation or in this day and age, how did they start to like come into the fold? And I think that's how they came into the fold. They were playing these particular type of games. Gamers fall under this umbrella that we call our community, and that's how they began to fit in. And you know, you have people who say, "Oh, I'm not a geek. You know, I'm a gamer, but I'm not a geek." And you have geeks who are like, "No, I'm a gamer. I'm a geek, and I'm proud of it." And I think that's one area of toxicity. I'm not saying that like all of those aggressive gamers, and I don't want to call them aggressive gamers, are toxic, because we are also toxic in our own ways too, just as geeks. Like I was telling Brandon, like, you know, I started to recognize it with cosplayers. Like there would be times I'd be at cons and I'd look at a cosplayer and I would be like, oh, why are you wearing that? That doesn't fit your body type, and I was body shaming, and I didn't realize that's what I was doing until I realized, okay, society paints this picture. The content that I watch paints this picture. And that's not the reality. If you want to dress as something you enjoy, you should do it.
No, and I fell victim to that too. Like back
we all have.
That we've all had that stupidity phase, as I call it, where you're very ignorant to the world and how you make people feel. Like I was one of those people that made fun of fat people for wearing, you know, a Jean Grey outfit or a Scarlet Witch outfit. And nowadays it's just like, well, shit, what the fuck was I thinking, right? Like, why am I the person? Like, look at me. I'm a big dude, right? And if I walk around in anything that's like skin tight, I would be made fun of. And you know what? I don't mind. That's why I became a wrestler too.
No, it's very true. Look, you know, I looked at it as, when I used to make fun of the same people, I was like, why would you even wear that? Like, I wouldn't even caught dead wearing something like that because I'm fat. I wouldn't even think to do that. But I'm taking my insecurities and putting it on that person. Yeah. When that person doesn't have a care in the world, they feel like, hey,
they had that super confidence.
Yes, you know, and they're gonna wear that to Comic Con, to whatever they want to cosplay at, and that's it, you know. And you kind of have to take a step back and reevaluate yourself and say, why do I even care to even make fun of that type of person? You know, because I am that person technically. I don't cosplay, but you know what? I want to be expressive with my nerdiness or anything like that.
Yeah, so. You know, you want to be approached with positivity, so now you realize that you have to approach others with positivity.
So I'm happy you guys are saying that, because I think like, as our age, like, we're just very mature and we're able to look back and say, you know what, I did stupid things, I said stupid things. I think what bothers me also about the toxicity in our community is there is no age gap.
No.
Because you have grown adults who, they're so locked into what the universe they grew up in, of how something should be, whether if it's from a production studio, whether if it is a cosplayer, that they don't want to see. The perfect example I can give you, and I saw it again this summer, was I think one of the times that I kind of had a negative experience at a con was I finally got the courage to dress up as Iruka Sensei from Naruto.
Really?
And, you know, it was a costume that I felt like, you know, I can pull it off. And somebody was like, oh, there's a black person from the Hidden Village. There are no black people from the Hidden Village. And it kind of discouraged me in a sense. But then it was like, you know, like, all right, that's cool. That's not going to affect me from enjoying it. I don't know if it was this summer's con. The young women who went as a group, they were all dressed as Marvel characters.
Oh, I know. I saw the picture.
They incorporated their hijabs into their outfits. Wow. And I thought that was great. I thought that was magnificent, that they were geeks, or they were just into that, whether if they are or aren't. And they said, you know what? Even though we have our lifestyle, we still want to be a part of this, and we'll incorporate. And instead of people embracing them, there were comments over Twitter that just were like real nasty, and it made it seem like people were like, you're incorporating your religion into this universe. And it's kind of like, no, I'm just being me, and I'm trying to adapt the things that I like into my culture.
See, I think the problem is that we criticize when people are dressing up like they're actually in the episode. You know what I mean? Like, so, like prime example, look at Death Note, the movie on Netflix, right?
I love that movie. I did really.
You loved it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's me. I watched the anime and I read the manga, right? When I saw that, I was just pissed off. One, because L is my favorite character. And look, coming from a black man, I said, why is L black? In the movie itself.
I've had moments like that too.
That movie in and of itself was just a disaster.
It was.
The only thing great about that movie was William Dafoe.
What was great about the movie, and nobody's saying it, is that it was an adaptation. And so to that note, to this same conversation, that, but this is what I'm talking about, that we,
it's an American,
at times, we don't like to, we see a movie that we want created, but we wanted it created in the image that we had. And I'm not talking about whitewashing like Ghost in the Shell. No.
So
I'm talking about
I'm
when
gonna say
adaptations are, that word is forgotten, and people are like, oh, this is not this. No, it's an adaptation.
But here's my thing. Look, it depends on what the role is. So let's go. It's completely off topic. Look at James Bond. It doesn't matter if you're white, you're black, or whatever. James Bond is just that clean guy. He has the swagger. So that means any man can do that. When we talk about specific characters, look at L. L reminded me of an emo person, really dark, but you know what it is? It just didn't remind me of a black emo type of kid.
But that's because we get too locked in. That's like
okay. Well,
Disney,
for me,
Disney's on ice, Frozen.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna differ perspective.
Okay.
About that movie. One, yes, it's an adaptation. However, when you create an adaptation that completely destroys the character's original idea of what it's supposed to be, it's not a good adaptation.
True.
You understand? Or else movies like Dragon Ball Evolution would be a good movie.
Oh God.
The Last Airbender would be.
We don't talk about those. We don't talk about.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, this movie also like kind of destroyed what these characters were. Remember, this one, Light. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Light was supposed to be a methodical, calm, reflective individual that always thought 3-4 steps ahead. You understand? While working the book and everything. But this character was not
here's
that.
My question. Here's my question to that. Do you think, and this is one of those, this is not to take us off, but do you think that's because he wasn't written in an Eastern format? He was written in a Western format.
But if you're going to take the adaptation of Light himself, you have to still bring that personality, because that is who Light is. Light is a thinker. He thinks. He's already like he's just like sadistic. He's already there.
I understand the Western realization, but then it becomes then you have to ask yourself: is this how they view us in the Western? Because mind you, this was an Eastern individual that literally produced this.
I was about to go off topic about the whole Black Panther comment about how there's an article. So I don't know if you know this, but it kind of correlates. But when Black Panther originally came out, there were reviews in Asia about the movie, and people were like, they don't get it. And that's because it's one of those movies that, it's a predominantly black cast. It's one of our first, I don't want to say first actual superhero movies, because we've had Meteor Man, we've had other like
Steel.
but it's a movie that really projected, I'm going to say, the African American community in a way cinematically that we haven't been represented in a long time.
Well, you know what the problem is that the Eastern culture, that they're behind on times. We may be moving to a technological age, but the thing is that they're still behind on what the West has been showing. So they're still kind of stuck on our hip hop little.
Well,
thing.
okay,
they're stuck on a certain image of how we are. So I think that's the reason why they don't get it, because they don't know that there's been kind of a little bit of a revolution where, like, we're shown different nowadays. You know, there's still those images, but we're trying to project a different image. And nowadays, I feel like that they're still trying to. I
think they're making progress, but it's slow progress.
I can give you one. The video. If you go to my channel, I did The Promised Neverland.
Okay.
There is one of the characters is an African American woman, right? Her name is Sister Crone. Sister Crone is actually projected as the olden mammy.
Okay.
And it's not a racist thing. It's just a time thing. There's still some people that view African Americans as this, you know, with the hair, big lips, kind of. And she's not. She still looks good, but you can still see the mammy image of her. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's not a racist thing. It's a thing that. Oh, well, that's what we thought. We thought that this is.
Yeah, that's like their portrayal.
As long as she's not.
They think it's their. That's what they think.
She's not Mr. Popo.
Now. No, she's not.
See, now you got like Mr. Popo and Jinx. Those are just the stereotypes.
Those stereotypes.
You know, but if you look at her and then you look at her backstory, they kind of also at the same time, okay, we see the image, but then her backstory is like, wow, she is an African American. Mm-hmm. She's fighting hard to get to a point, and she still didn't make it there. You know, so it's like they you can't blame them for how they did the adaptation, but at the same time, it's just like. Come on, there's certain things you gotta get right. You gotta get certain things.
You know, I'll agree to that because I think what was I watching the other day? The Last Samurai.
Great movie.
That was a beautiful movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny that The Last Samurai is Keanu Reeves.
No, wait.
No, that's
Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is The Last Samurai.
I mean, Ronin.
Ronin is the one with Keanu
Reeves. Yeah, but. So, and not to talk about like Hollywood whitewashing, but I feel like it's that reverse. Like, I think for us, what makes us acceptable is as Westerners, we kind of see a genre that we like and we just throw ourselves in it.
Well, okay.
So much.
Okay.
Like, we just throw ourselves in it.
Allow me to clarify because this is the last thing and then I actually.
Yeah, we're going to have to start wrapping up. Yeah.
The Last Samurai did a great job of portraying the actual Japanese culture of what the samurai is and everything. And it shows a Westerner literally being cultured in their lifestyle, seeing everything that they've done to the point where he himself doesn't come off as someone who, okay, you know what, I want to be a samurai. No, this is somebody who's literally adapted into the culture, married into the culture, and put respect on that culture's name.
And I want to add something. He also did come in there with his Western views and got shot down. So it kind of gave everybody on the West an idea of like, look, you can't just go to somebody's culture and just say, oh, well, this is how we do it and you got to do it. That's old.
With that being said, I can agree. And,
you know,
I think I can agree to that because I understand as an illustrator. One of the things I heard when I was in college was no matter how much as a Westerner you may be, you will never fully understand Japanese anime. No. Now, I agree with that in a sense that Japanese anime in itself is a part of a culture. It's a storytelling of a culture. Mm-hmm. I think something, the creator of the Boondocks, I think people like him, people who've been inspired by that, have learned that, I will never be able to do Japanese anime. That doesn't mean I can't create with the influence of Japanese anime. And I think, so going back to like critiquing and stuff like that and adaptations, I think people tend to forget that one of the things about being a creator, being an artist, is that there are styles that are put out there because it's really paying homage or it's showing that this is what I was influenced by. We see that with Kubrick. We see that with
Abrams.
Yeah, you know, we see that with many directors. Yeah. As geeks or nerds, we're too critical. I think we're so critical on the creation that we don't look at the artwork anymore. We don't look at the reason why. So Airbender, to me, it's on my trash list. Oh. It's on my trash list. It's on the do not. But when I really sit down and watch that movie, in my head I'm like, you know, if they would have just did this with this scene, this with this scene, it wouldn't have been bad. So then I have to put myself in that position and say to myself, racism.
You're right with some of that, but look at it this way. Look, we are
racist cultures.
That can also be that. It can also be that. You know.
The Fire Nation were Indians.
And yep, they were fighting off everybody and everybody.
The Water Nation were white people. This movie had a lot to go for it. Like, if you want to, you can literally take this movie to class and literally teach people what is wrong. And yes, you're right. When you actually watch the movie, you can critique it and try to make it.
I think with Airbender, they was trying to keep it. M. Night was trying to keep it in a Eastern storytelling.
Mm-hmm. But that's mistake number one.
Exactly.
Because it's a Western show.
Exactly. You try to get, look, you just said it. You will never understand Japanese anime. Why? We don't live in that culture 24/7. We cannot understand how they come up with these things that we relate to so much. I don't even know how, they create some of these stories that I'm like, wow, I'm all for it. And the last Airbender is trash. It's fucking trash, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why it's trash. Yes, I had a connection to that show, okay? I felt it, and that's why I critiqued the hell out of it, because I'm like, what the hell is this?
So this is my last question for you before we start to wrap up.
Okay.
All right. You have a beautiful baby girl, right? Mm-hmm. Correct? Your baby girl is about 16. They come to you and they say, Daddy, I want to watch these two movies. Mm-hmm. And the two movies they show you, right? And there's no option C, right? They say, Daddy, either we could watch Airbender or we could watch Dragon Ball. Which one?
Oh, Airbender. I don't care.
Which one?
I refuse to put any child, adult, or anyone
is more acceptable
to deal with that abomination known as Dragon Ball Evolution.
She wants. Okay,
wait. Let me put it in a different. Yeah. She goes, Daddy, I have to write a report for school.
Okay.
And the teacher said it either has to be on Dragon Ball or Airbender.
So that teacher hates.
But I have to also watch the movie with one of my parents.
So the teacher hates you. That's one.
And you can't put your wife in this. You're the parent. You have to be the one.
I have to watch it.
Yes.
I'm gonna take her to see Dragon Ball Evolution, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm gonna destroy that movie so much that she's gonna write the greatest report ever. Because I'm gonna annihilate that movie.
Wait, but why wouldn't you have her? Well, I mean, I think you're right. But why would you choose that over Airbender? Why wouldn't you trash Airbender?
Because I felt like there were some parts in Airbender that was
that was close.
I think just visually it was a lot better than Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yes, it was. It definitely was. So I felt like Airbender could have gotten a lot better, but I just felt like that Dragon Ball Evolution. First of all, that wig.
Sean, if you had a kid, same scenario.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I would definitely choose Airbender and then literally have my child look at it and be like, this is what you do not do to adaptations.
Oh, okay. You do not touch things like that.
All right, so I'm gonna go dark here. I disown my kid. That simple answer right there, just disown.
Oh, there you go. Well, I would go to the teacher and ask him, like, do you torture for a living?
Like, do you hate my child?
Like, why would you?
Was this assignment specifically for my child?
Was there any other options on this list? Oh, that was the last two. So you having a vendetta,
I would have them trash Dragon Ball.
Oh,
Dragon Ball was such a disappointing.
It was bad to me.
Just disappointing.
And I got so happy to see it, and I went and saw it, and I wanted my money back, and I couldn't get it back.
Or I would be like, baby, we're gonna watch both. You're gonna write a nasty report on Airbender as extra credit.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
All right.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's the end of the show. That's I hope.
Thank you so much for being here. This was an awesome show. Yo, I gotta give you a fist pound, man.
Thank you guys for having me. Look, this was great. Just shooting the shit, randomly talking on stuff. Like, I love that. Me and my good friend, my best friend, we do that all the time. We just have random conversations about anime. So it's good to be able to find other people who, not even just me and him is anime, but then we could go about, MCU, we can go DC because I'm a big DC fan. I love that.
Are you now? Okay, so we're bringing him back for the DC segments.
We're gonna bring you back
because I want to talk to you about that. I'm trying to get him teaser.
I'm trying to get him come when we film, so he can see the background.
That'd be great.
So we'll have you come.
And we could definitely talk about the Bird of Prey teaser that came out and everything.
Yes, we can.
So definitely, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to the next time. Plus, I can stay longer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host Charlie Radio AM.
And this is Sean-Luc.
And as always, we are out of here.